Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Robin's Nest. As you can clearly tell, it is cold, finally, in South Alabama. It took it a long time. It'd been hot, and then, like, bam, right before Thanksgiving, we got a cold snap, which is, we have no transition period anymore. It goes from hot to cold, from cold back to hot. There's no in between. It's kind of annoying, but anyways, for those who are watching this that are in America, from America, so on and so forth, hope you had a great Thanksgiving. I'm glad that the festivities are over. We get back into the swing of things, back in to the normal routine, work, and all that kind of fun stuff. As much as people hate that kind of thing, I love it. I like my routine. I don't like for there to be a monkey wrench thrown in it, and that's what holidays do. I love the holidays. I love spending time with my family, and I love Thanksgiving, but just glad to be back into the swing of things. So, anyways, hope you all had a great day yesterday. We're gonna talk about a wide variety of things today. So, as always, if you enjoy listening to me ramble about motorsports, cars, anything else I feel like talking about, make sure to like, subscribe, leave a comment, turn on notifications. It works. If you're interested in diecast cars, t-shirts, hats, auto parts, anything for the holidays, check out our eBay. The link is in the description for that. Follow me on Facebook and X for more motorsports content. Those links are also in the description. Without further ado, let's get into the video. So I just got to say this, Martin is a badass. If you watch this and you don't know much about NASCAR, Mark used to race in the Cup Series for a long time. He's a legend of the sport. Never got the championship that he deserved, but came close on several occasions. I think he's probably, in my opinion, he's like the best driver who never won a championship. Easily. Hands down. So he was on the Scene Vault podcast, which, by the way, I'm going to put the link to their social media in the comment section or in the description. Actually, I'll put it in the description, so you guys can go check them out, guys and gals. The Scene, it used to be called NASCAR Scene back in the day. It was a magazine. It was kind of like a newspaper, but it was a magazine. It was I think a monthly publication. Back before everything became digital, which still sucks, by the way. I wish we still had hard copies of things. I mean, I guess you kind of do, but like the last time I went to the store and picked up a magazine, it was like $15, which is outrageous. So, it's whatever. But anyways, their magazine was awesome. So now they do a podcast, and I've interacted with them a handful of times. They're super nice. All of them are super nice guys. So I wouldn't tell you to go check out somebody's channel that sucked, and I wouldn't tell you to go check out somebody's channel who is not nice. So go check it out. But anyways, Mark was on there, and they were talking about all the stuff that happened with NASCAR and Richard Childress and Steve Phelps, and there's evidently some stuff behind the scenes that happened with Richard and Mark. That there's some bad blood there. But Mark was still taking up for Richard in the situation that happened with those emails, and rightfully so. And then Mark started talking about the championship format and some of the decisions that NASCAR has done over the past few years that's just completely alienated, the hardcore fan base. It split the fan base. 100% it has. A lot of the gimmicks, especially the championship format. But what I love is the fact that Mark, I've heard a lot of people tell me, well, there's no point talking about it because it's never going to change. It's the wave of the future. It's what every series is going to start adopting moving forward at some point. And despite all that, Mark still comes out and voices his displeasure with the format. And I appreciate that, because there's not a lot of guys who are involved in the industry who actually have the backbone to do that, whether they're still active or retired. I mean, most guys just have kept their mouths shut. It's only become popular like this year, maybe a little bit last year, to start vocally, being vocal about how you actually feel about the playoffs. Everyone's just kind of toed the line up to this point. And so even Carl Edwards, who clearly left NASCAR because of what happened and how gimmicky everything was, And it's clearly why he walked away, and I think that's why several other guys as well. But they won't even say anything bad about it. So it drives me nuts. I was talking to a guy in live chat last night for the Adelaide final, I guess is what they're calling it, in supercars. We were talking about the format because the finals is it's a rip-off of NASCAR's playoff format with a few minor tweaks, but it's essentially the same thing. And we were talking about it, and he was like, well, everybody approves of it in Australia. You know, everybody that's involved with the sport approves of it. Even former drivers have come out. Well, obviously they're going to. Like, most of these guys still have ties to the sport. They have businesses and things like that, and they're not going to come out and say, well, no, it's terrible, and it was a stupid decision by the sanctioning body. They should, but they won't. You know? Like, your business is not going to suffer. I think Mark owns some dealerships, or a dealership. Do you think his business has suffered because he said that he hates the playoffs? No. Come on. It's nonsense. But I don't even think really it's really all that. It's more so the fact that these guys still have attachment to the sport in some shape, form, or fashion. And so, you know, they're just not going to say anything bad about it. Even though the problems are just so blatantly obvious. Take supercars, for example. This weekend is the final. You have 4 drivers across three races at the same event. So the way that supercar races work is you have a weekend where you're at a particular track. In this case, Adelaide. You have 3 races. They had one yesterday. They're going to have another one today and another one tomorrow. It's not like that every round that they go to. You know, like Bathurst is just one race. But that's how the vast majority of them are. There's multiple races throughout the weekend. Kai Allen has not won a race this season. He's a rookie. In the Penrite, driving for the Penrite team, which is not a top shelf team by any. They're not terrible. Don't mistake what I'm saying for that. They're not terrible, but they're not a top shelf team. So, anyways, Kai is in the championship 4. Hasn't won a race. He's a rookie. He has just as good a shot at winning this championship as anybody. If Brock Feeney has some issues, Will Brown, what have you, he's in the catbird seat to win the championship with 0 wins as a rookie. Did you just wrap your mind around how insane that is? Even if it doesn't happen, I mean, in all likelihood, it's not going to, but even if that doesn't happen, the fact that it's an option to happen, the fact that it's a possibility to happen, just proves straight out of the gate how broken a playoff format or finals format is in motorsports. I know I sound like a broken record, and I know you people are going to get tired of hearing me talk about this, but it's just a fact. It's going to lead for supercars the same place that it's led for NASCAR, which is nowhere good. You know, they're getting ready to change their championship format for like the 5th time in the past 20 years. It's embarrassing. That is embarrassing. Playoffs just don't work. They just don't work. And supercars are going to learn the hard way. They're going to experience a honeymoon where everything's going to look good, hunky-dory, and then it's going to fall off a cliff. Same thing when, it's the same thing that happened in NASCAR. 100% it is. I want to talk about WRC. They're in Saudi Arabia this weekend. This is the first rally in Saudi Arabia. And by the way, I'm not sold. My wife and I were watching it last night, and it's just ugly. Saudi Arabia is not an ugly country. Don't get me wrong. I have no problem with the Middle East. But where they're staging that rally is just ugly. You've got power poles, you know, transformers and everything, or like in the backdrop, but it's hideous. It looks like it was an afterthought, like it was just thrown together. And then the stages themselves are just garbage. Everyone's had a puncture, several punctures at this point, because there's rocks everywhere in every stage. Which, yes, I understand that you want there to be some, you know, not danger. You want there to be some difficulty, obviously, to to the stages, you don't want it to be easy where anyone can just go out there and do it. But at the same time, if everyone's having punctures, there's kind of an issue that needs to be rectified there. I mean, Martins Sesks, I'm probably pronouncing his name wrong, but he's a part-time driver for M Sport. He's I think he may have ran some last year, but he's essentially a rookie. Doesn't run full-time. M Sport's not the best team in WRC, not even close. Toyota obviously is, and Hyundai's better. They're both full factory efforts, whereas M Sport gets crumbs from Ford, basically. And so their two flagship cars, Josh McElern, or however you say his last name, Irishman, and then Munster. What is his first? Gregoire Munster. Anyways, but those guys are consistently at the back of the grid, and it's the same way this weekend. And then you have this guy come in, Sesks, and he's in position to win this rally. So, number one, what I want to say is, if we're going to keep the Saudi Arabia deal going on, can we, for the love of God, just move the stages somewhere where it's like prettier? You know? Is that too much to ask? Every other rally on the schedule looks great. And before you start poking fun and hating on me for saying that, part of international racing of any kind, Formula One, well, basically any FIA sanctioned series, you want it to look good as well. You know, you're going to all these far-flung countries and racing, and you want it to be aesthetically pleasing, and you want these countries to look good. You want to represent them well. Well, when you're racing around what looks like an old power plant, you're not really accomplishing that. And then the maintenance on the stages just needs to be better, hands down. But another thing I want to say, M Sport had better snatch this kid up and put him in a car full time next year. There's no reason at this point, when you've got two drivers who have run all season, Gregoire's in his second season, and these guys can't even get a podium. And then you've got some dude show up every once in a while who's typically, I think Sweden, he was slow, but I mean, I don't think he'd ever really rallied on snow before, but typically when he shows up, he's faster than both of those guys. So there's no excuse for him not to be in a car next year. I don't care what you got to do, strings you got to pull, what you got to tell Red Bull, there's just no reason. And if y'all don't snatch him up, then someone else is going to. It's a similar deal to Oliver Solberg. I can't remember, what was it, Finland or something like that, where he showed up in a Rally1 car. First time he'd been in one in a while. For Toyota, had never rallied in a Rally1 Toyota before, and just absolutely smoked everybody. Well, I mean, I think it's pretty obvious that he's probably going to take Haley Robben-Parra's place next year, because Toyota would be insane to not move that guy up and give him a full-time ride. They would be insane to let him go somewhere else. And make no mistake about it, these other teams, they will poach drivers away from you. That's just the name of the game. It's a business. But I hope that Martin can pull it out and end up winning. They got tomorrow left, or I guess tonight. I'm not really sure how the time shakes out, but I was so nervous for him yesterday. I couldn't watch. He had a puncture again, second puncture that he's had while he's been leading, and he dropped a lot of time, and then he got very fortunate that Adrian Formo also had a puncture, and so the time differential wasn't that great. He didn't stop to replace the puncture, which is good. If you can help it, keep going, you'll lose less time, because I think it takes like 2 minutes to change a tire on the side of the road on average. Obviously it's not going to be the same every time, but I think on average it takes about 2 minutes, and so you're done at that point, unless everyone else has the same issue. So yeah, you really want to just finish on 3 tires. But hopefully he pulls it out. I'm going to keep my fingers crossed for him. And I'm also going to keep my fingers crossed for Oscar Piastri, because apparently he won the pole for the sprint race in Qatar this weekend. And his teammate's third, Max is sixth. But one wild thing about qualifying for that race that I noticed right before we started filming, because I didn't watch it, but I went back and I read about it and saw the rundown. Yuki Tsunoda out-qualified Max Verstappen. Has that happened this year since he moved over to Red Bull from Racing Bulls? Has that I don't think that's happened. This might be the first time that he's out-qualified Max. I mean, obviously, he's not going to stay there when they go green. Max is going to pass him. And, you know, if it's not on merit, then the team will tell Yuki to get out of the way. Because I'm fairly certain Yuki's not going to be back with Red Bull next year anyway. So that's just wild to me. But it's cool to see Oscar get back up on the horse. He's had a tough couple of Grand Prix. And I told somebody the other day, it's almost like McLaren was sabotaging him to benefit Lando, you know, out of a sense of loyalty due to the fact that Lando's, you know, his tenure with McLaren's a lot longer than what Oscar's is. That's probably not the case. You know, it's probably just Oscar's, you know, he's never been in this position where he's battling for a championship before in Formula One. And the jitters may possibly have gotten to him. I don't know. It's hard to say. It's hard to say what somebody's thinking, what somebody's feeling, but something's been going on. But I think he's got the cobwebs out, and he's looking pretty good. He's looking back, you know, like he did earlier in the season. And I'm a big Oscar fan. You know, I watch Australian motorsports all the time. I watch supercars and stuff like that. So any Australian athlete I'll naturally kind of gravitate towards. And so I like Oscar. I hope he can catch Lando and get this championship. That would be awesome. But who knows? There's going to be team orders at some point between now and Abu Dhabi, or in Abu Dhabi. I don't know. You can bet your top hat and overcoat on the fact that there will be team orders at some point between now and the end of that race in Abu Dhabi. But anyways, like I said, hope everybody had a great Thanksgiving, all my American brothers and sisters. Hope y'all ate a lot of food, a lot of turkey. Which, by the way, I don't like turkey. I don't know why. That's like everyone's go-to. I'm assuming it has something to do with the backstory of Thanksgiving. It's just a tradition, but I'm not wild about turkey. It's all right. It's not the worst thing ever. I'll eat it. But man, ham is just better. You get you a big old ham, cook that bad boy up. It's just better. In every way, it's better. And speaking of better, one more thing before I let you guys go. DTM, I've talked about this before, but I want to talk about it again. Because we found some Hot Wheels, some old DTM Hot Wheels, Mercedes, and I believe an Alpha. I'm not sure. Can't remember. I don't understand why we're in 2025. DTM has been running GT3 spec race cars for how long now? Why are we still calling it DTM? Come on, man. Hey, Germany is... My family's from Germany and Austria. I love you guys and gals. Y'all are awesome. One of the best countries, two of the best countries in the world. Hands down, by far and away. I'll die on that hill. But it's dumb to call DTM when you're running GT3 sports cars. I'm sorry, it just is. It makes absolutely no sense. None whatsoever. But I'm not going to get on that soapbox again. Because I've done it before. And I'm just going to get annoyed. So what I am going to do is tell you, if you enjoy listening to me ramble about cars, racing, anything else I feel like talking about, make sure to like, subscribe, leave a comment, turn on notifications. The works. If you're interested in diecast cars, t-shirts, hats, auto parts, anything else for the holidays, you want to get a gift for somebody, chances are we've got something for you. Check out our eBay. The link is in the description. Follow me on Facebook and X for more motorsports content. Those links are also in the description. As always, thank you guys and gals for watching. It means a lot. I appreciate it. Till next time, we'll see you. God bless. Peace.